gotten better.
Well, you have, in the last tab,
It's number 22 tab.
yeah, you've got,
It's got the job description or her duties as trapper.
she is, supposed to be driving so many hours.
Right, 4 hours.
Observational week, yes.
Yeah. So this looks like it is, something beyond that, and beyond the driving around.
It seems that way to me. I'm just hearing from, I'm just telling you what people have called me for, voicing their concerns. If they have concerns, then of course I have concerns about it, so. It doesn't sound like it's just patrolling, because we want, it's right here 4 hours a week, that's why the city's hired animal control officers to patrol. And that's good, but how they're interacting with the citizens, that's my main concern.
May I say something?
Yeah.
So, weekly reports, y'all get a report of my logbook, and every time I stop at a property, do anything with anybody's animal, it's in that logbook. It's time, date, what was said, what was done, any of that. If it's not in that logbook, it didn't happen. And I'm not trying to say that anybody's misleading you, I'm just letting you know, if I stop, well, I can't say Ricky's house, because then let me count. Well, technically, no. If I stop at Mr. Cooper's house and his dog is out, and I don't know that he has a dog, now if the dog is out in the yard, I may go knock on the door and say, hey, is this your dog, or is this another dog that's just roaming around your yard? And sometimes that's all it is. Oh yeah, it's my dog. Okay, no problem, good deal. That's all it is.
Okay. And that's good, that's not a problem.
Right, and if it is their dog and they're not registered with the city, I'll give them the city wants everybody's dog to be registered, here's your piece of paper, take it to City Hall, it's $5, make sure you take your shots, your dinner, and that's it. And then there is no stalking or menacing going on that seems to be the story.
Well, and
I just
that's
want
good,
y'all to
because I
know
haven't
that.
talked to you. And
Right.
so, our dogs, we have dogs, and every now and then, the kids will be playing, they'll leave the gate open, and our dogs get out. The neighbors call, got your dog over here, we'll go get them, and that's great, that's how I kinda see this town, a town this size being. Whenever it's newer families to Braun, and they're getting these citations for their dogs being loose, dogs aren't biting anybody, not chasing vehicles that I can tell, and they're getting citations, and they're mad at the city, and they're not brand new to town, but one family is brand new that called, a couple of months ago. It seems like we're just causing all kinds of headaches, which I don't see the citations.
So we need to
And,
educate our citizens on all the ordinances when they come and put water down.
Also, I don't do citations.
No,
No, I'm just making sure
I
everybody's
do
clear. I
understand
have
that.
no say in who gets a ticket, who gets a warning, that is not my job.
I
That
understand
is Polk County Sheriff's Department.
Right.
So everybody's
That's why I
saying,
asked for
y'all
you to-
gave me a ticket, I'm not y'all. That is not me. I mean, I have nothing to do with, pick them up, drop them off, take them where we need to go, that's what I do. I have nothing to do with who gets a ticket, warning, or anything else.
And that's what we instructed her according to this
Right.
to do.
So I just wanna make sure everybody knows,
No,
that's not
I know-
on me.
I know you're not writing
okay,
tickets.
I'm just making sure, and I don't have
But
any
tickets
say
is
in
also
what,
a concern with me.
Right.
I didn't bring it up here in the sheriff's report because it's more animals. It seems like we're causing more hard feelings for animals between citizens and the city. And I don't think all the tickets are necessary, I don't think, I know our citizens need to be, informed that registration, I think that's a good idea, that way if somebody turns a dog into the city, that's your dog. It happens every week for a month straight, 2 months straight, I can understand that, but I'd rather get in town and not run people off, cause all these tensions.
Did they get a ticket the first time the dog was out? Situation.
Yeah, it can be a situation, if it's a dog that is chasing people, especially if several of these verbal ones told, hey, get your dog registered, There's one family, they've been told, I know about me, back in the summer, seasonal letter. I wrote a ticket, go out back, they paid the ticket, still haven't registered the dog. I don't know if they sell the dog or not, cause it's, they said they were trying to get rid of the dog, but I don't know, I haven't seen it. But there's some that's refused to list.
Sure.
And there's some that say, well, I've never sold it. Some families have been told several times, and they get tickets, they're like, oh my God, why did I get tickets? You know, cause your dog is 18 blocks from where you live. You know, that's not quite big, still, quite, you know, a mile or so from where they live, they've been loose before.
Right.
So, and they never told them, get your dog registered, and they refuse to, just,
Right, and there's gonna be those people that just won't do it, and
Yep.
it's for one reason or another, they're just not gonna do it. I just wanna be mindful of everybody, this goes for citizens to employees, council members, everybody to the citizens. If we can just be mindful, we're all on the same team, we're all trying to, you know, better the town. And I think we can do that. I don't think it's all that difficult, you consider it to.
I do have a comment, cause I was one of those, and I know that I talked to you, you guys are amazing at informing us when we need to get our dogs registered, right? So that I came in to pay my water bill, you said, make sure you come in, cause I said I'm going to my vet's office to get the papers that night at 4:30, and I said, you guys are gonna be closed by then. I'll be here tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning to get my dogs registered, right? So I didn't, because I got a ticket that night. And so I was like, this is insane. I've never had a verbal, I've never had like any kind of warnings, and I came in there and told y'all, I'll be there tomorrow morning as soon as you guys open up to get my dogs registered. But then I got home from taking my puppies to the vet, in which they're all gone, they all have new homes, but I got home from taking the puppies to the vet with the dog catcher and the sheriff at my house. One dog was in my yard, the other one she had in her truck, cause the other dog barks. But and that's when I did file a complaint, I'll be completely honest with it, cause I was like, I told them I will be there tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, to get my dogs registered. It wasn't a big deal to me. You guys know I'm all new to Brought. I've lived here under 2 years, and it like super shocked me, and so I haven't come up there because of those reasons. Guys, we are law and order every time. We are all about following city ordinances, but that specific situation, to know that she was sitting there, the dog catcher was sitting there, when I came in, to know that I was coming in there that next morning, as soon as you guys opened up, and usually whenever y'all call, I'm like, yeah, I'll be right there, right? I'm always on it. And that was my first one again, I got a ticket for it. And I was like, I just don't feel like that's fair. So that's my takeaway on that. That's the only reason I haven't come up here, is cause I'm like, now I have this, you know, minimum, it gets dismissed and it's still $78 fine that I have to pay, when I clearly was completely open to it. Everybody knows. And even, cause that night that the dogs got out, I got a call that said, hey Courtney, your dog is loose, we put him up in his pen. Thank you so much. How he got out again, I don't know. But regardless, like, I was trying to do what was right. I came up there, I just didn't have their rabies shot. They were fully vaccinated. I just didn't have their shot papers when I came up here to talk to you guys. So that's all I wanted to take away from that. And then that's whenever I called one of the city councilmen first, and I was like, hey, this isn't okay with me.
I think this is a good opportunity for the community to all kind of get on the same page, because it's so difficult when we start writing ordinances, because if you go to one extreme, you look at it, you have dogs running into a dangerous place. You go to the other extreme, dog can't do anything. So trying to balance that sometimes is difficult. And the only way we can do that is from y'all, because we work for y'all. And also with Tiffany, is everybody getting on the same page and saying, here's the guidelines, here's what we would really like. And if it's, every situation is different, but if we can all kind of agree that, you know, everybody has dogs and cats and all that, here's gonna kind of be the norm. So everybody kind of knows what to expect. And, I don't have dogs, I don't have cats, so I don't have the headaches that somebody, you know, or the joy maybe. But if I did, I would wanna know, if this thing gets out, you know, what's my liability? And so I think it's just time that we get with Tiffany and say, here's, you know, listening to everybody here, here's some good guidelines that we would like to kind of get on the same page. That way everybody knows what to expect. If your dog's out, you know, right in front of your yard or something, and you're out there not a big problem. If it's across town, first time, you know, you need, if I was, I'd say, Courtney, I've got your dog over here, you're probably worried to death, you know, try to get it back. If it's over and over and over, then that's, you know, then we all have to get on the page for that too. I think it's good that everybody's here showing concern, because if I had Tiffany's job, that'd be a tough job to do. It'd be a tough job. And, knowing, you know, how much pressure to put on this, and plus, one thing you have to consider, personalities of those dogs and cats are just like us. You know, so some of them are unpredictable, some of them are just marshmallows, and I would hate to have to approach a dog I didn't know. I'd want to sidearm, I think.
Well, no, a lot of times, a dog is an animal, a dog and a cat both, just like any other animal, and they will find a way out. If they can, they will find a way out. I've seen them climb over fences, go under and dig under, and that's where you have to work a little bit harder at making your yard unavailable to get out, okay? Brittany saved our little dog one time, sent me a text, and I guarantee you, if that dog had been picked up or run over, we'd have been devastated. And she sent me a text, he had snuck out of the yard somehow. So we had to go back and refigure our yard. I know that Manuela Piercy's got a dog that's like Houdini. It could get out of anything. They now have an electric fence around it, and that dog wears a shock collar, and it does not get out. So if you have, you know, if you have problems with your dogs getting out, for their safety, you know, you try to fix it. I know that they can get out. Occasionally, they're all gonna get out. So I think it's like Ron says, we're gonna have to work together. We're gonna have to work with them. I think we all need to learn to kind of stand our distance. But one thing I will say, and this is not so much from a city council member, it's from just a plain old person. The cussing, the calling people names, the ugly remarks on Ron Cuss and Discuss, to me, are disgusting. You do not want your children reading things like that. If you wanna call somebody else, and I'm not saying y'all did.
I was like, wait, I didn't say that. That wasn't me. Hold on.
I'm not saying y'all did it. I'm saying, I don't know who did it, because I don't read that. I don't pay any attention to it. But there is never a reason to go behind or to get out in public and make ugly, vicious remarks. So if you know of anybody that's doing that, tell them, hey, look, your kids might read this. Tiffany's a human being. I've seen some of the stuff that's put on there, and there's no reason for it. I don't know who did it, because I don't look that much. I didn't even know it was on there until I was told. But if you have a problem, come up here and talk, and we'll talk it over and we'll get it straightened out. But let's not be vigilante out. And this is for me, this is not from city council. This is my opinion. Let's not go and be that kind of person. And if y'all know who they are, tell them stop it. And this is not right.
Maybe we should change the name of the discussion group to, instead of Cuss and Discuss, the Chit Chat and Discuss.
Well, let's do the praise thing. I mean, let's say something nice about people, but let's don't.
Is the job description posted anywhere?
I'm sorry?
Is the job description posted?
No, and it's something that we can.
Again, I think that would help. I'm just reading the comments. I think that people are unaware of what she's supposed to be doing. 'Cause some of the things people are complaining about, it's her job on part of that, the trapping and setting traps and checking traps.
But she can't lure dogs out of people's yards either.
I mean,
We can post this up on the website.
but I think that that's
So people
something
can
that's
go there,
very-
They can come up to City Hall and I can give them a copy of it,
Yeah,
so
okay.
we can do that to help educate. Yeah, and if y'all want it in the newspaper, we can put it in the newspaper as well.
Yeah.
So,
What is your?
I'm the one that makes things public on Facebook because for some reason everybody comes to me about it all. And I've been told multiple times that she makes very cool remarks about animals, that she doesn't mind shooting them, that she's going to throw a kitten on the side of the road. This was yesterday that remark was said. And just other very vile, cruel remarks that are being made. And I've started.
But does she make them to you?
No, and that's what I've told people is that, I mean, there's nothing that I can do, but anytime that they get a remark like that, they need to call City Hall and they need to report it. And I've started telling people that, and I don't know, you know, this was yesterday that, people, like, that I started telling people that. So as of now, hopefully they will actually start calling and it will be reported. However, I mean, I think it's just, I think that's a lot of reason why people are so upset, is because it's not necessarily that she's trapping animals, it's how she's being about it and how hateful she's being towards people about it.
I think some of that too, though, is hearsay that gets started, and maybe one thing gets said, and then before you know it, it's turned into something completely different.
Yeah, and I mean, I can understand that, but take it from somebody who's been basically harassed by her for almost 2 years now, it's kind of ridiculous. Like, it's now become a whole.
They need to come here, we need to get Tiffany here, we need to all sit down, and this person that's got to make the complaint has gotta be responsible for what they're saying. So if I walk up to you and say, you know, Ron Cooper, you know, he's just so-and-so, you know, then that's hearsay to me and you. So if somebody's got a complaint about Tiffany, they need to have the courage to stand up and say, this is what I heard her say. And say it to Tiffany and to any of the council members, to the mayor, but they need to be doing it in person. Because if they're gonna say something.
I'm here in person and I wanna tell you,
Me too.
I don't like it. I've had somebody drive by my house 3 times before school starts, looking and luring my dogs. I know they get out, I know they're con artists and they can do it. I've been reinforcing, I have a bid on a fence for $12,000, so I don't have to deal with this, okay? Now, I send my kids to go play, and y'all's dog catcher honks, yells, flips my daughters off, and my 7-year-old son. That's when I get mad. And I'm not happy. And I acted totally out of anger that day whenever I confronted her about it, and she lied and called my wife a name that I'm not gonna say in here.
A B word, straight
At
up.
the church, and then I get this man come and visit me.
Last Thursday, he was the one
I
who came over and answered to it.
am done with it. I'm not on Facebook. I tried to shut the Facebook down. I told everybody that I knew that was on there, stop it. It's not helping us. It's just making us look bad. We're not trash. This town, I grew up here. I love this town. I never lived in town. I lived in the country. Now I'm here in town and I'm regretting it, every bit of it, because it's been nothing but heartache and headache. But I just bought a home. All y'all know where I live, right next to the ag barn.
The brand new house built.
I'm right there.
Okay.
I did not move here for somebody to be driving around my house, flipping my kids the bird, and calling my wife names. I'm not gonna stand for it.
And this is what we need to hear from you.
But
and-
I worry about opening my mouth sometimes because
That day I
I
came
don't
up
wanna be
here,
ugly. I wanna get along.
right, that day I went
I
up there to
want
talk to
to
you,
be
that's what I
left
wanted to
alone.
talk to you about, but I couldn't, because she was sitting right there, and I don't know where I stand. I'm not gonna come up there blindfolded, y'all know I'm new here, everybody knows I'm new here. I don't wanna go up there blindfolded and don't know what I'm walking into, but this is getting
This is
out of
what we
hand.
need. We need the person that wants to confront.
Well, and I did tell Brandon that last week. When he came to our house, I said, I just want to talk to her one-on-one. Literally, when I pulled up, I said, Tiffany, and it's all recorded on one of our phones. I said, Tiffany, I think we need to talk. You want to know what her exact response was? You need to get your bitchy ass attitude out of here. Is that a way to talk to somebody?
No.
Especially when you're representing this
No, it's
town.
never done. Was that when she was going into a meeting?
She had just drove by our house.
And flipped
and
our
flipped
kids off.
I got in the truck and went behind her, and I was like, hey, I think we need, completely level-headed, not even hot, like I'm feeling a little hot right now, nothing like that.
I was saying a neutral meeting.
I just went up to her, I was like, I think we need to talk, look, you can't harass my kids, harass Trey and I all you want, but don't harass my babies, those are kids.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't move here for this, I didn't move here to buy this house to deal with this crap, and that's bull crap to me.
I had
I can't
girls
sell this
crying
house here.
because, you know, and this is the sick part. I had 2 girls crying because I didn't believe them. I didn't want to believe them. and I told them they're full of crap. And then I pulled a 6-year-old who's clueless about everything, cause he's 6, well, he's 7
Doesn't
now.
even know what flipping off
And I go,
means.
hey, can you tell me what happened? And he told me the same story the girls did. And then that's whenever, the girls go, why didn't you believe us? Cause they're 13 and 11. I said, well, I didn't want to, because I don't wanna believe this crap.
And I'll tell you, I drove by her house that night, cause I wanted to see if her truck was there. And I honestly was gonna get out of my truck to fill her truck to see if it was hot, cause I wanted them to be lying or to see something they didn't see. That's not what happened. Her truck wasn't there. She was coming by over by my house. I was like, what in the heck? Everything is in alignment here. And I should have been a lot more hot-headed than I was, but I was like, maybe it was blown a little bit out of proportion, right? That's very well possible. Until she gets out of the truck, and all I say, my only words to her are, I think we need to talk. That was it. And I was completely, Drake hadn't even pulled up at that point. It was just me in the truck. Look, let's figure it out. And I told him, I want to try to sit down with her, talk to her, let's figure it out and let's quit this crap because I'm tired of it. I didn't move here for this from Wiley out in Abilene. I loved it there. I loved it here when I lived in this stupid duplex. Now that I bought a house, I'm stuck. I don't have anywhere to go. I'm stuck in this town and I'm sick of it. This is getting out of hand and I'm so tired of it being because of one person. I'm over it, y'all. Tired. So we've got to get something figured out. If y'all need to sit down and do a mediation with her and I'm okay with that. That's what I told Brandon I wanted. That's what I want. But I need this crap to stop immediately. Due to COVID, there's no materials to build my damn fence that we hired the guy to build. There's no materials. There's nothing we can do about that. He's hired to do it. He's gonna get it done as soon as the materials are available. But until then, quit stalking my yard. Quit calling in on my kids, ride a stupid go-kart in the yard. Just quit it. I'm tired of it, y'all. We've got to come to something because this is getting out of hand, period.
I think if given the opportunity to have a mediation, there'd be a lot of people that would want to come up here and discuss things.
I want a one-on-one.
That's what this is for.
I'm not on Facebook anymore, and so I don't know what all has been said on Facebook. I've had a couple of people call me. I've had the independent contractor agreement sent to me, the job description, where she signed everything. The city has a hard job with ordinances and trying to keep everything safe. And I don't know if y'all were here, 4 years ago, a 4-year-old girl got mauled by a dog. So when we were on city council, we had to start doing something about the dog keepers because a little girl got mauled. I mean, that's where the whole dog on a leash thing came through because of the little girl. And I hope that all y'all remember that. Sometimes people forget as you go down that tragedy happened. And, but I'll never forget all the stitches and everything on that little girl. So,
I think we've gone past the dogs. I think we've gotten into this.
well, what I'm saying is, the reason why we did the ordinances, which nobody likes city people taking pictures of their house, and that's one of the main things that I heard. But everybody that works for the city has taken a picture of somebody's house, or somebody's property, or somebody's dogs, somebody's livestock, somebody's pens. That's what we're here for. So as far as her duties, the duties are there, and she's doing her job on that. The vindictive stuff, we'll have to work that out between her and the city. We'll have a meeting or whatever between you all. But as far as I'm concerned, Tiffany, you're doing what you said and what we asked you to do. Now, the other stuff, I don't know, but I'd like to hear your side of it and then go through that. We have a contract for 6 months, you know that, it's just a contract for work. We have processes to be able to do that, you sign what you're supposed to do. I believe last January, there was a complaint. The city was supposed to give her the complaint, she was supposed to sign the complaint as a written warning. I didn't see that in this package, so if that hasn't been done, whenever we have this meeting and a complaint, which there's plenty of complaints to add to that list, if it is, then we need to put the complaints down, have a written warning. But you have to do it, we can't just fire her, because she's under contract with the city.
I don't
Now,
want
we
her
can
job
reprimand
loss.
her, and then after a verbal warning, a written warning, if she continues to do it, then she'll get fired. Or the contract will be done by written notice. But as of right now, she has a job till June 30th, taking pictures and driving around, that's part of her job.
Taking pictures even when it doesn't
Taking
involve the
pictures.
dog?
Did you flip the children off?
No, ma'am. And that was discussed the day they ambushed me at the church. That's why the sheriff's office was called, there was a report filed, they're supposed to be given a copy to Teresa because she asked for it. Everything that was said, everything that was done, the threats that were made, everything. I even wrote down my timeline on there because I can prove on my cameras where I was at the time they were saying I was flipping people off. It just didn't happen.
Well, there's gonna have to be some guidelines as far as you staying away from them completely.
I understand that. And
I
they
mean,
said
if
that
it's
they
going to the
wanted
school to check traps, you go a different way than by their house.
Right, but what I'm saying was, and he said, well, you don't need to go down my street anymore, and I said, I understand that, I said, but you live right in front of the school, I was picking my kid up from track practice, which you have to go around to the back of the school, where the middle gym, or the new gym, or whatever the crap it is it's called, and I just come out through there, I've never thought it was a problem, because I don't even look over there, I'm picking my kid up from practice.
I completely understand, but now we know there's a problem. And there's people in this town that don't like me, and I don't like them, and I don't drive by their house, they don't drive by my house. So there's a way to get around Brunt without going by somebody's house. So I suggest, if you wanna keep the job and continue to do the great job that you're doing with trapping, it's unbelievable what you're doing with the trapping. But with the complaints, it's a serious
I understand.
condition.
And something I've always said is, being as it's gone so long without anybody having rules set of this is what we're gonna start doing, you're gonna piss some people off, it's gonna happen, it does happen.
Well, that's
If
what
I wasn't doing my job the right way, there, you know, you see what I'm saying?
well,
And you get a
it's
ticket because your
example.
dog gets out, it's always gonna be my fault, you see what I'm saying? And that's where the backlash
It's
is
the
coming
city's
from.
fault, it's
I understand.
Brandon's fault, it's your fault.
People are gonna get
Nobody
mad,
likes
it
rules.
does happen, but everything that they're saying happened, never, ever happened.
Lynette, you have to.
Council members, thank you for letting me speak. I'm an innocent bystander in this. I've not had any, incidents on either side. But it sounds like there's been problems, there's been mistakes. I think, I've not had problems with Tiffany. I think Tiffany has done a great job with, the trapping of the wild animals. We have a horrible problem with tons of stray cats and skunks and all sorts of things. I think probably maybe y'all need to visit, and set guidelines. I love the way she's trapping. We need that. And I think, you know, she doesn't need to go out unless the city is called that, hey, there's a stray dog, or the sheriff calls, hey, there's a stray dog. I think maybe that needs to be her priorities, is just trapping and worrying about the traps, and then have her only go out when there's a neighbor called, I see a dog running around, hey, there's a pit bull running down the street. Something, I mean, I don't think maybe she needs to just be driving around looking for dogs out, that's what I'm hearing is happening. I think, as I've lived here 27 years, my husband, when we dated, my husband said, you're gonna die here, there's your plot. So, this is my home, I love my home, I love my town. I don't like to see upset people like this, because I want you to like Brunt. I think Brunt is a wonderful town, I think there's a lot of wonderful people here. But we've got to find a way to not be angry. I agree with Stormy, I think Facebook is horrible. I think it fuels fires, it fuels anger. I think this is not the place for y'all to, I think there's too many of us here.
Yeah.
I think y'all need to sit down with the mayor.
Yeah.
And in the city, and I think.
I would love that.
I think the three of y'all need to be, and not all of us.
Yeah.
And I think, we need to, I'm gonna say, Chris, I think we need to pray for y'all. I think we need to calm down and not have it here.
Yeah.
But I think Tiffany has done a great job catching a lot of animals, helping. I mean, she's caught tons of strays around my neighborhood, which I appreciate, and I do have dogs and I do have cats. And mine are registered with the city. I have tag 1 and tag 2. No, but I think we need to have, maybe some more descriptive guidelines, and maybe change the guidelines. because we want people to come. We want good people to come, and to raise families here.
Well, I'm not talking about the guidelines, I was looking at them, there are, I mean, you're doing the guidelines.
She's doing okay.
And if we need to look at y'all's complaints and change those guidelines, we need to do that as well. But I think we've heard the complaints. I've heard the complaints outside of this meeting, I'm sure lots of other council members have too. So, we know what the complaints are, and we have a problem, and we need to fix it.
And Stormy, I appreciate 4 years ago when that happened, y'all acted in the capacity that needed to be done then. I think we have some responsible people in town, and I think we need to not feel like people are being picked on, and maybe amend and change exactly, because we need her to give, we have lots of strays, and we have people who just dump animals, and we need somebody like this. But we need to make maybe some more guidelines and restructure what's going on. And I thank you for letting me speak.
Well, and one of the
Thank you.
One of the big guidelines that we did was, I think it was 2 years ago, when we redid this contract.
We did it for
With Matthew. Ballinger had just gotten a huge case of rabies, if y'all remember that. And if you've ever had a family member that didn't know if the animal had rabies and had to have the 50 shots in the stomach or whatever it is, it's horrible. So, but I'm just saying, I don't wanna do it, and if they got bit by something with rabies or anything like that, she's taking care of the ones that we don't know if they have rabies or not. And I appreciate you trapping the way that you did, but we do need to.
Yeah, and if, and when you have a complaint, it would be helpful for us just to write it down and document it. And that way, when we have a meeting, we have something in front of us. And a lot of, we don't want the hearsay to be a part of any consideration. So make sure that you document it, your actual story. And, we need all that when we make decisions.
Yeah, we need the official complaint from the individuals that have these complaints to come forward and call the city hall. That way we can act on them.
City Hall has not had any formal complaint. I have no written complaint, I have no phone call complaint.
We have plenty in this room right now.
I understand that, that's why I'm asking, I'm not asking, that's not
Calling
something I
city
wanna handle, but
council.
it's something on my job.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
As well, so if we can have the written.
Yeah,
before I
so calling a city council member does not serve as a written, as a complaint,
We
right?
tell y'all when y'all are upset, they make the rules and we implement them. Call the council and all of that. When we do the written complaint, we turn it over to the sheriff's department and they investigate it for us and stuff. And then they write a written report on their findings and stuff.
Well, that's why my husband and I came tonight. We don't get involved in city politics or, really anything with the city. We just don't get involved in it. We
We saw
work
the
so
hateful
much.
on the internet, and I went to some of those people personally, asked them.
We do, but we just work so much that we just don't have time for we just don't have time for it. And so that's why I did go to a city council member and he was like, hey, go to the thing tonight. But I'm like, okay. And literally one day, that's the day that happened with the dogs. And then the next day is when the sheriff department was at my house and I told Brandon was there. I was like, I went and talked to her because nothing is getting done, period. It's just not, and I can't wait for a meeting, sometimes. And I was, that's how I felt at that point. So this is our official written complaint. We want to figure it out. We don't want her to get fired. We don't ever, because I would be devastated if I lost my job, right? We all would. We don't want that. We just need to figure out how to come to a mutual ground and make it work. We want to get our dogs registered, but I've been so upset since that happened because I was there 8 hours prior that I was like, I'm not gonna go do that. That's bullcrap, right? That's how I felt. However, I will be first to say I'll be up here first thing tomorrow morning to get my dogs registered because I wanted to have this meeting first. That's the only reason I have it. So I want to love Bront. I want Bront to work for my family. We have 4 kids that we have to raise. I want it to work for us. Or else we wouldn't have bought the house. We just stayed renting in a duplex. And I loved it. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I loved it. But we did it for 2 years and it was 2 years too long. We really want it to work in Bront, but we've got to get some things figured out first so that we're not feeling
This
this
is a
way.
good first step in coming together, getting everybody on the same page.
Teresa, you have everybody's
Oh,
name.
sorry.
to
Oh, you're good.
contact them
Stand up, girl.
whenever.
I have the Hollands, yes. Yeah, Tiffany.
I really do appreciate the whole stray situation being taken care of, I do. But what is happening to all those cats? That's what I've had a lot of people ask me, because I used to work for the city, and so people think that I know, and I'm like, I don't even work for them anymore, but I've had a lot of people ask me about it, and I'm kind of curious myself. I've been told
I lost her cat and it was taken and it's gone.
Yeah, I've been told many horror stories, in my opinion, as to what's being done to the cats, and
Cat
so.
that's registered with the city, they're usually tagged, I mean, we give them the tags, but if they're feral, there are some, and Lynette knows, she's got feral cats that she doesn't want to disappear, they're all tagged, or they got little markings, and so they're not, and so if she catches one of those in the trap, she knows they're not gonna populate the rest of the town, so she releases those. The feral cats, they're disposed of.
Okay, and see, like, my mom has 2 cats over here, and they're both spayed, neutered, microchipped, they have all their stuff, but how do they go about getting the like, the ear notch or whatever?
Well, your vet will, the vet would do the ear notch, but if you will take a picture of your, like, I have 2 outside cats, Shadow and his other brother Daryl, and they've had their shots, and they have pictures. Tiffany has the pictures of my cats, and the city also has the pictures.
Okay, I'll tell my mom to do
and
that,
so
because
literally, I
they've
mean,
been kind of concerned about that.
I went and showed Tiffany, I said, Tiffany, this is Daryl and Shadow, don't you do, because, I mean, but I do have them registered.
And my mom's cats are primarily indoors, they just, Ash, the little one, he loves to be outside, he loves to go outside and play, he just.
And Tiffany has,
That's the only thing with rabies. You can tell if there's a feral cat or it's a house cat. She knows it, and she just, and she lets those go. We take a picture of them, so we have in case somebody does call us, we go, oh, yeah, she caught it, and this is the address, and she let it go.
Okay.
Because we did have a mix-up way early on, and so we corrected that problem.
The rabies vaccination is not a city ordinance thing, that is a state law.
Yeah.
bill. And the last time we've written a citation out of the county for somebody not even in Robert Lee, they refused to do it. City citation was small, county citation was $300 for no rabies.
But you can't register your dogs with a rabies registration paper,
Right.
so.
Yeah, you have to get a rabies shot, but yeah, like I said, though, there's some people, we've had, not so much in Bronx, Robert Lee refused to get everything done.
Oh,
And
okay.
so like, well, we ain't gonna enough, because the city citation was small, we wrote that $300, the JP signed a $300 fine for rabies vaccination, got the attention.
But we also need to help the citizens to spay and neuter their pets. That way we don't have the big
population that we have.
I have spayed 8 of my neighbors' cats because it wasn't being done, and so instead of, I thought, well, having some stray cats are okay, but a neighbor and I spayed a whole bunch of animals just to keep them from reproducing. So.
And Contra Valley Paws has started a deal where you can actually get your vouchers online, instead of having to go down there and wait to get them, where you can just go online, pay for it, and you go pick them up. And I've had to do that several times.
They've always had that.
They've
always had that.
Moving forward, moving forward.
I said, let me speak real quick.
Moving forward, we're gonna, work to get these miscommunications or failure to communicate and, get some meetings put together and, address, see if we can address some of the issues that we've had, today. We're not gonna solve the problem tonight. So we'll be working on it in the, very, very near future. All right, economic development report.